Hey everyone. I've got something pretty cool to show you. We here at Awful Tech, a division of Globo Conglommo Mondo Corpo Con Incorporated, take our work very seriously. Our motto is high tech, low brow. And in our pursuit to solve world comedy by creating world chaos, it's very important we have the absolute best henchmen that a supervillain can buy. You need a henchman who can monitor goons 24/7 without rest. It's very, very important. The problem is nobody really wants to work anymore. Am I right? I mean, there just aren't any people applying for hench jobs. They're all either lazy or worse, unionized. Ugh. Plus, the national henching birth rate is declining. It's true. Now, here's the thing. We've found the solution. Allow me to introduce you to H1B, our new henchman droids. We import these things from India. They're smarter, stronger, faster, and better than the old subtarded henchmen. And a heck of a lot cheaper, too. The H-1B droid is exactly the kind of automated slave labor needed by the discerning, humanitarian supervillain like myself or Elon Musk. Watch this. Check this out. H-1B, activate henchman protocols. Okay, oh God. Not again. All right, he just took a big goo right on the fucking floor. Okay, no big deal. These crappy things are extremely replaceable. Trust me. Hang on a second. I'll do this. I'm going to call tech support. If you'll just give me a second here. We'll give them a little ring. There we go.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much for calling customer care services, legitimate technical support. I am your friend, Sean Jacob Peterson. How can I be helping two of you today?
Hey, Sean, my H-1B droid gooed all over the floor inside again.
Oh, okay, yes, I am understanding your concerns for this.
Whoa.
Please, sir, may I ask, have you tried eating the goo?
Eating the... no, I don't want to eat the goo.
Oh, okay, yes, I understand, sir.
Okay.
Have you tried letting rats crawl around in the goo?
Not yet.
Okay, no problem, sir. Have you tried turning your droid off and on again?
Actually, yeah, right before running it, I power cycled it, and it just let out this terrible smell.
We can send you 5 more H-1B units to replace the one you have if you like, sir.
Okay, but will they work? Because the last 3 you guys sent me just gooed all over the street. Plus, the one I've got now is trying to get me to import its robot in-laws.
I need to place you on a brief hold. Thank you for your patience, sir.
Okay, fine, sure. Oh, God. Okay, this sounds like it's going to take a little while. We'll be right back. This is Podawful. Welcome, everybody. Podawful. You just can't get good help these days, am I right? I mean, it's almost impossible to find a good henchman. In fact, by the way, I'm alone here. Somebody wants to call in. You want to join me? I'm on air in the Discord, podawful.com/cult to join the Discord. You can join the call-in channel. We'll get you in here if you want to call in. We're live, as we are every single day, over at podawful.com. TV, where we've got the live chat room going on right now and all that kind of stuff. Hang on, let me set a few things up here. There we go. Let's see what they're saying in the chat room right now. Jesse1, Podawful is watching you, Sar. Bless you, PS. You've been gone for so long, I feel I got to get back into the pizza fund. Wow, thank you so much. The blessed Jesse and the new intro rules. Thank you. Wow, that's some incredible comments out there. Thank you guys for supporting. A year ago, Podawful.pizza, by the way, if you do want to sign up for that pizza fund. I apologize. I'm still getting over an illness. I'm getting, I think I've got bird flu or something, or I don't know. Maybe I ordered the wrong dung off of Amazon. A year ago, I was going through a problem. And that problem, of course, was YouTube. In fact, it seems like every year I go through some sort of problem with YouTube. But this time was particular because this time I started warning everybody about something I called the Visa Jeets. Visa Jeets are taking over. They're causing all the problems. They're ruining the internet. They're ruining customer support, customer service. They're taking your jobs, and they're ruining YouTube. Now, of course, who's the new owner? Who's the CEO over at YouTube? We did a whole episode on this as well. It's a Visa Jeet. Who's every single person that I talk to every time I've got an issue with YouTube? It's a Visa Jeet. None of them know what I'm talking about. None of them know what they don't have the context for what's going on. These are the people who are in charge of whether or not you are allowed to stay on the platform based on their whims and nothing else, based on what they think is appropriate. We've got Cole calling in. We're getting a Cole call right now. Hi, Cole.
Hi.
What's up, man?
No, I don't know, man. These Poojeets.
Well, I didn't I call this like a year ago? I did this stream. Do you remember that stream? It wasn't an episode. It was like just me whining about the show.
Yeah. Vaguely, yes.
You remember what I'm talking about? And it was like, it's so annoying because I knew everybody understands. I mean, people have been making fun of the, outsourcing customer support and tech support to Indians forever. But I was making a very specific point at the time, a year ago, which is that it's beyond, there's a cultural thing. It's well beyond that. It's not just that they don't speak English or any of these washed up, obvious sorts of things. There's a cultural sickness going on. And unfortunately, the people in charge of deciding what you're allowed to think and hear are Visa Jeets. Okay? And it shouldn't be like, we've all seen the videos. You've seen the street food. You know how it works in India. You see that they play with rats. They eat poop. They just eat poop. That's a thing. They have an entire holiday where what they do to bless their house is put poop everywhere. And instantly, I feel like I can say, you know what? I decline your culture. Thank you anyway. I'm not trying to go to India anytime soon. Of course, India trying to be a superpower. They're trying to come to the moon. I want nothing to do with these guys. Cole, I'm sure you've had some horrible run-ins yourself. You're like a normal guy with a regular man job. Is this entirely just a tech-related issue kind of thing, or do you actually have to?
I mean, predominantly now. Yeah. I don't know. I have a friend from Australia, not Scott, who used to be like a property developer, and he told me that they're the worst to do business with. You agree upon a contract ahead of time, everything is itemized, and you know what you're getting into, and the second it comes time to pay, it's like, sorry, my family know you are taking food out of my mouth. What about this? Can we cut this down?
Yeah, but they're always, hey, at the very least, you're his friend. They're always your friend, my friend, my friend, my friend, my friend. It's like, man, I've made a ton of new friends off of these H-1Bs. So I can't believe I've never had as many friends in my life as I have when dealing with YouTube support. So it's good. See, this is the thing. It's nice for me to know when it's also affecting regular people, because that means, okay, maybe finally something will happen and someone's going to get it. But I already got the wake-up call I needed a few weeks ago on this very subject, because I've been dealing with this Indian thing for such a long time. And something that I've only seen really start to enter the conversation in the past year, that I've always said, is that the Indian people, they get hired because supposedly they're doctors and engineers, and, these are rocket surgeons, these guys. Meanwhile, look at India. Could somebody perform a little bit of rocket surgery over there for just a minute? So in my mind, for years now, I've always gone, I think these guys, this is going to sound crazy, don't know what they're doing. I'm starting to believe that they don't even know how to code. I've got an entire...
Shocking.
I know. I've got an entire theory on all of this. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But I'm mostly, as an internet man, a man made of internet, a man who controls and manipulates the internet, I'm mostly interested in how it affects the internet. So a couple weeks ago, I made a petition. Now, I was positive, change.org. You guys ever seen this? Change.org. Everybody does these things. Sometimes these actually affect real life. Like, most petitions are just nonsense, The whales still aren't safe, no matter how many signatures you get. But everyone...
Well, how much of that is due to them trying to accost people outside of a Whole Foods instead of using the internet?
100% probably. That's why change.org is such an important thing, is because they're actually sometimes affecting, legislation and, or at the very least getting eyes on it for maybe something to happen. So I went to change.org and I made a petition, and I was positive I was going to get banned instantly. I almost made a GoFundMe, but I've been banned from GoFundMe so many times that I can't do that anymore. I literally can't even donate to somebody's GoFundMe anymore. We had a fan of the show, great guy, and you guys know him as Wyatt Powers. He was an old fella, and he would do crazy henchman activities all the time. He did lots of stuff that didn't even make it into the show. Like, one time, I don't know if you guys know of a goon. This is like a public domain lolcow. I know Cole knows, called Joshua Dufferina. Joshua is a childlike autistic weirdo who is obsessed with the television show Drake and Josh, and he just wants it to come back online, and he'll do anything to make that possible. So we thought it would be really funny to convince him that we were going to have him build a time machine that would allow him to travel back to when Drake and Josh was still on the air. Wyatt Powers, who, again, the dude's like 58 years old or something. He took random machine parts from his garage, drove past Joshua's house, and chucked them into his yard, and then would send him messages saying, like, the next part for the time machine has arrived, start assembling it. And Joshua Dufferina is trying to travel time now. This wasn't even in a show. Okay? Nothing ever even came of it. But this was an amazing guy, Wyatt Powers. Wyatt passed away recently, last year. And we miss him. Great guy. He had a GoFundMe. He was doing very poorly. There was a chance he could make it. And, of course, the hospital bills were so insane. And I went to donate like $300 to his GoFundMe. His wife, I've spoken to his wife. His wife, told me about it. I shared it with everybody. Everybody from the Podawful cult was giving to this GoFundMe. It let me go through the entire process of donating $200, $300, whatever it was. And then I look at the page afterward, and the number didn't go up at all. And I'm like, did it work? I was like one of the first people to donate, so I thought for sure, like, maybe it takes some time. Turns out I am banned from donating. Change.org is a little bit different because, ladies and gentlemen, here was my change.org petition that I started. All right, take a look at this. It's called Ban India from the Internet. And you can find this, by the way, over at change.org/ban India now. That's the short link. They let me make that the short link. This has been up for weeks now. I'll throw this in chat, actually, for people if it'll let me. I'm not sure that YouTube will allow this to come through. Hang on. What the fuck? Sorry, YouTube is like really slow. And is that just me, or is YouTube fucking up for everybody?
Nah, it's fucking up for me too.
Oh, really? All right. So we've got a petition here. It's called Ban India from the Internet. By the way, I saw Peggy was trying to call in earlier. You just keep waiting in the call in. I'll let you in. If you want to come back, I'll let you in. I was just getting some me time with Cole for a second. So a lot of interesting people have signed this. Leo Frank, Jeffrey Epstein, Lance Ronay. Thank you to everybody who signed this. Angie, Jill Keats. That's an interesting name. Jill Keats signed this petition. Anyway, ban India from the internet.
Very close on a keyboard from being Jill Keats.
Now, I've got this picture here, of course, of an Indian call center scammer thing. I figured, I don't know what it was, but, again, a couple weeks ago, I just thought, I feel like we're on the precipice of something. I had this bizarre thing that this came out of nowhere. I wasn't even doing the show at the time. I don't know what even inspired me in the moment. And I need to be clear. This was 2 or 3 days before the entire internet exploded talking about this thing. I was first to the scene yet again on this one. I predicted it. I knew it was coming. I could feel it in the air. We're all feeling it about the Visa Jeets. So ban India from the internet. Here's what I put as the issue. They make you put the issue, which makes it sound really bad when you're trying to get an entire country of people to be banned from something, calling it the issue. Here's my struggle. All right, so again, it's ban India from the internet, and then I put in parentheses, at least until we get this all figured out. Okay, let's drag Peggy in here. Hi, Peggy. You got something you want to say about Indians?
I don't think I can say it on YouTube, but
nope.
yeah.
Nope. Yeah, again, I thought I'd get kicked off of change.org. This episode's not a great idea, but I gotta talk about this. It'll
only be a problem if you have to appeal it.
I was going to do this episode. Obviously things have changed a little bit now, but I was going to do this episode. It'll only be a problem if I appeal. I just understood what you meant by that, girl. I was going to do this episode back when I uploaded, before anyone was talking about this. I was going to do this episode just about the petition, about all these ideas, all these things I've been thinking. Of course, now Sam Hyde's put out this 43-minute, people are calling it this masterpiece video where he's addressing Elon Musk. Elon Musk is it's an entire nightmare fuel scenario conversation where people have dunked on Elon Musk over this so hard that he is now going, you know what? Fuck free speech, actually. Actually, Twitter's the way it used to be now, except I'm running it and I'm gay. So Sam Hyde put out this thing where he's talking about all this shit. I was days and days ahead on all this stuff. These were all thoughts I was going to talk about anyway, but now it's even better. I got so excited. Literally, this stuff blew up on Christmas Day. It was an amazing Christmas. It was a Christmas miracle. I could not believe it. So here's what I put, at least until we get this all figured out. For their own good, for the world's own good, India is still new to the internet. And I really think about everything I'm saying here is very sincere, very legitimate.
That's true.
India is still new to the internet, and they haven't quite learned how to handle it yet. The launch of Reliance Jio, which is India's main internet service provider, in September 2016 marked a turning point, offering free 4G services for several months, along with affordable smartphones. India's internet user base doubled from approximately 350 million to 700 million. Suddenly and unexpectedly, digital Indian migrants began flooding the internet's borders, leaving cow patties on the information superhighway along the way. Now, I think part of what inspired all this in my head was the border debate, the border crisis, the immigration debate. Obviously, that was already being discussed and always is. But I just, I think of the internet. It's like Elon Musk used to say before, again, the entire internet dunked on him. That Twitter is like the town square of the internet. I look at the internet as like a real place where we all go. And in the same way, there are borders and there are times where there can be too many people from certain places. We got Deacon Blues calling in. Hi, Deacon Blues. You got anything to add?
Well, yes, Jesse, I do.
Go ahead.
First of all, I think I understand why Indians don't get the internet.
All right.
Have you heard the phrase that the internet is a series of tubes?
Yes.
You know what else is a series of tubes?
I see where this is going.
Plumbing. Plumbing is a series of tubes. They just don't understand tubes.
Very true.
Making a lot of sense.
This is adding up.
If you go back deep into India lore, I posted this in the show discussion if you want to pull it up.
Okay.
There's a concept in Indian lore called the juggernaut. A juggernaut is a massive stone wagon as big as they can build, that very heavy, dragged by slaves through the poor parts of the country.
Okay.
And the concept was, I'm the leader of India. I'm so great that I'm bringing God to the little people, my pagan nonsense gods to the poor people out in the boonies. And this big heavy wagon was like a temple to them. And they would get crushed by the wagon on purpose.
So what you're saying is we need an internet juggernaut.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
They'll jump in front of it themselves.
Yeah, no, they really will. They'll put their children in front of it because in their weird beliefs, if you get killed by something holy, like a giant rolling temple, your next life will be blessed.
It's like a bonus. You get like a bonus.
Yeah,
life.
but blessed to an Indian guy is a rat rolling around in milk. Like, how blessed does he? They think
the extra cow piss.
The hierarchy of Indian, which this is another thing that does not get discussed enough. Like, when we're importing Indians, when we're H-1Bing them over, you're not getting the Brahmins over. You're getting the untouchables. America's not remembering that they've got a caste system, and you got the untouchables at the bottom, and then the 4 or 5 levels above that, and then above that is rat, and above that is cow, and that's the furthest they've even bothered thinking about these things. So really, we don't want to worry about what they're thinking of when it comes to temples and what's holy and what might be good for them in their next life. By the way, how about this? How about we keep the H-1B program going, right? This is skipping ahead a little bit, but we keep the H-1B program going. And what we do is we promise them that they can come to America in their next life if they're good. These people believe in that shit. Why is that not okay? Hey, live a good life. Be as, make the best rocket sodas you can. Put your fingers down inside the gruel that you give to idiot women who decide to travel alone in India and never come home. Enjoy riding the bus and also every guy on the bus. If you are a good Visa G in the next life, you get to come over. And then, maybe they'll be reborn as one of the more acceptable immigrants. Which include my wife, hi, Borat, and no one else. It's just my wife, really. Great call.
Is that why they put the plexiglass at the mini marts and the gas stations? Is because they're untouchables?
No, that's because of a different group of people, actually.
Crazy.
But
What
I
do they do?
don't really want to get into it. Listen, I know the rat and the dung and the all this stuff has sounded really bad, but what if I told you?
It gets worse.
What if I told you that there's a domestic problem? Anyway, great call, Deacon Blues. Thank you very much. I'm gonna let you go. See ya. Peggy, you got anything else to add?
No, that's about it.
All right, man. Great call. Thanks. Cole, I'm going to leave you in for a minute. So, if you want, you can go. All right. So, what was I saying here? Suddenly, they're leaving cow patties on the information superhighway. Okay. So, then the rest of it goes on to say, while the people of India, I am sure, are a good and noble bunch, unfortunately, the cyber cultural clash has been too extreme and too fast. The bots, scams, spam, and AI-generated content has begun piling up like so many Indian street stools. Now, I know I started that sentence by saying, I'm sure they're a good and noble bunch, and then ended the sentence by saying that they're all doing bots, scams, spam, and AI-generated content. But I'm sure they're a good and noble bunch. According to various reports, including the Imperva Bad Bot report, bots account for a significant portion of internet traffic, with estimates around 47 to 49.6% of all internet traffic being bot generated in recent years. India accounts for over 70% of bots online. These are real statistics. You've heard of dead internet theory? Guess what? It's worse. Indian internet theory. According to posts on social media, there's a sentiment that a large percentage of tech support scams originate from India. Some estimates suggest figures like 85% for tech support scams targeting the US. The Los Angeles Times reported in 2023 that India has long held a reputation as a home for online scammers. Entire YouTube channels are now dedicated to dealing with scammers such as these, and their content is almost as bad as the scams themselves. I had a lot of people in my comments when I first started posting this stuff referencing Kit Boga and all of these Indian scammers. Guys, I got to be honest with you. I know I'm on the outskirts here. I know nobody's going to agree with this. I hate those dudes. I hate those channels. They stink. They're not funny. I know like all the memes have come out of him and we're all saying them and whatever. I hate those channels. They are so shitty. And by the way, they're fake. Okay? Sorry, they're fake.
Even if they weren't fake, that would be like to a Poojeet in India who's scamming. That would be like a celebrity status to them. They would chat in the office about like, I got on this guy's show, go and see me.
Yeah, they think it's cool. They're like, whoa, wow, oh wow, a cool American is talking about us. Oh, very nice. Oh, look at his sunglasses. Look at the man with the blue hair. He is talking about us. He must be from Los Angeles, California. That's what they think. I just hate that. So I don't have anything to back that up, by the way. I just hate it. I just think it stinks, and I think it's another log on the pile, so to speak, metaphorically, log on the pile when it comes to this Indian content. I'm not joking. Today, while trying to make something for the show, I went and looked up a tutorial for something. I was like, oh, how do I do this? And it was an Indian AI. It made no sense. I saw, and it wasn't even in English. It was an AI voice with an Indian accent. And it was like, and this was a tutorial. It was supposed to be teaching you how to do something. The title was in English. I look at Kit Boga and all the Indian scammer guys the exact same as I do every time I try to find out how to, delete my cache on my computer And instead I get like a 13-year-old Indian kid recording off the built-in microphone on his 2013 MacBook. It's all the same to me. I cannot stand it. So where did I leave off? All right, here we go. The Economic Times highlighted that 48% of Indian consumers were tricked into continuing with online scams in 2021, indicating a significant domestic scam market within India itself. So these guys sadly can't even stop scamming themselves. I know this whole thing sounds like I am putting my foot in my mouth, but Indian people seem to stir their food with their feet, so I think I'm helping them out here too. Many websites' moderation teams are now outsourced to India as well, where the people in charge of determining what content is acceptable do not speak English and have no cultural context for what is appropriate. This is why websites like YouTube will remove a comedy video for a minor language infraction, but you can still easily view a video of a woman getting her ass crack sugar waxed. That's true. Easily find that. You can look that up right now. If you'd like, take a moment. Here, I'll wait. I'll put on the Indian hold music for a second here while you guys go to a different page on YouTube and you just type in, I don't know, Brazilian
Lila Gold.
No. Brazilian bikini wax. And scroll a little bit. You're gonna have to scroll just a little bit, and you will find a woman's entire hairy asshole hanging out while her burger muff sits just below it in full plain view. The thumbnails for these videos will be straight up pornographic. We'll wait. We'll be here when you get back. Okay, you back? So, it was harder to jack off to than you thought, huh? Unless you're Indian. Perhaps most notably, Indian men have never before had such instant access to both bobs and vagine. For most of Indian history, men have outnumbered women in the major Indian metropolitan areas by a considerable amount. Suddenly empowering such sex-starved men with the ability to request nearly any woman on earth to open her bob, or even to have many kiss on bob, is something even the Kama Sutra did not prepare them for. Let's just shut it down for a little bit while we get this all sorted out. So I was looking at it, I was setting this up. I'd never done one of these petitions before, and then it told me that you can choose like the lawmaker or whoever it is that would be in charge of making this happen. And so I was like, okay, well, who's the president? I couldn't fucking remember. And so I assumed it was Donald Trump. It turns out, no, still somehow not yet. I guess the dead guy is still in there. And so I started typing Donald Trump in to the thing on change.org, and that wasn't one of the options, which is crazy. I mean, he is about to be the president. You would think he's at least an option, but no, he wasn't in the list. So I had to manually add as my decision maker Donald J. Trump, which I believe, it says here Donald J. Trump. And then I was able to put, I got to choose his title. I put president. And then it says right here with a little sad face, no response. So apparently, unfortunately, we have not heard back from Donald Trump on this incredibly serious issue yet. Of course, then I started thinking about it a little bit harder. I realized that his vice president has an Indian wife, so I don't think we will be hearing back on this one.
I mean, who do you think manages his emails?
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, if you call the White House tech support line, you get JD Vance's wife now. We got some nice little comments on this one. I can't, for whatever reason, it will not let me read them all. There's a lot of great comments on this, but here's one from Gob. He puts, my decades-old YouTube account was banned due to watching a Poojeet doc on stream. I am not the one eating my own shit and inhaling my own farts and bathing in them. That's them. Go ban them. Indians bathing in, eating, and huffing actual shit is worse than me learning about it from a video and showing others. That's an interesting opinion from a different guy who isn't me, that I'm just reading and reporting on these facts. A guy named Zulius says, redeem it, please. I think that's like a Kit Boga reference right there, isn't it? The do not redeem. Is that why everybody says do not redeem is from that Kit Boga video? Because that shit's fake. I'm just telling you right now, it's fake. Here's the thing. I get nonstop Indian scam calls all day, every day. My phone number is just on every single one of their lists, and there's nothing I can do about it. And every once in a while, I like to answer the phone, and I like to talk to them, and I like to waste their time and then threaten their lives because it's legal. Because what are they going to do about it? Who are they going to call? The police? What are they going to do? What are they going to do if you tell them you're going to choke the life out of them? Nothing. That's what. So, and by the way, again, these people are probably untouchables. They would be like, oh my God, thank you for touching me. So I've talked to a lot of these Indian scammers. They do not stay on the line. There's no way I'm so good at annoying Indian people that I'm just the one guy on earth who gets them to hang up instantly. Every single thing I say to them, they're like, they panic and hang up. I one time pretended to be trans with them. I just used my normal voice, but every time they said sir, I said, actually, I'm a lady. Please call me ma'am. Actually, I'm a woman. Please address me. It's not Mr., it's Ms. And after about 6 of those, the Indian guy short-circuited, put me on hold. I had to talk to a different Indian guy. Then they put me on with an Indian woman, and then she gave up because she didn't even understand what was happening. That was all in the span of 6 minutes. There's no such thing as a 15-hour phone call with an Indian scammer just because they think they're about to get an Amazon gift card. It's just not a thing. Paco says,
yeah, I've tried to waste their time before, and they've called me about an extended warranty or whatever, and like they got a million calls to make in a fucking day, I'm assuming. So they just hang up as soon as they think you're fucking with them.
Think about it logically for 2 seconds. Why would they keep on with you when there's a million more grandmas out there that they could be scamming? It's a never-ending supply of grandmas. Paco says, "Sar, please help." So yeah, we got a lot of those kinds of comments on here. I don't know what that's all about. I'm trying to help Indian people by kicking them off the internet. Obviously, the internet is sort of a bad thing for them. So I barely push this. Again, I haven't been doing shows. So I haven't been able to talk about this before until right now. So we only had 165 signatures to begin with, but honestly, pretty good. This thing's been up for 2 weeks or something like that. Has anybody new signed since I posted this? Did this go through in the chat? Okay, we got 2 more signatures since we started this. Guys, I need you to share this one, okay? I need you to sign this one. We got to make this happen. Let's make change.org change for the better for once. Let's ban Indian people outright from the internet, at least for now, at least until we get this all figured out. Sign the petition. You can leave a comment on there. I read all the comments. I check out all the names. The names are very funny on that. Let me see if I can see a few more of them in like the back end here. Who else has been signing? We got Tyrone McElminer signed it. Shaniqua Jones. No Internet Farsar signed it. Okay, great. A bunch of Russian bot names for some reason signed it. Don't know what's going on there. And now I've just lost it. Yeah, this change.org website kind of sucks. But anyway, go give it a signature and share it on social media, please. I know all of you out there are on Facebook. You're on all the old-timey internet stuff. You probably got a Twitter account. People are clamoring for this shit right now. All right. Your uncle will eat this one up. You can share this one on Facebook. I promise. Your grandma would think this is good. Get them to sign it. Ask people at work. listen, if you still have a job, if you haven't been replaced by Indian people, you should be able to get away with posting this to your, work group Slack email account or something while you guys are all still slightly employed. It's probably not going to last much longer. Cole, thanks for calling in. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You can call in too over at podawful.com/cult. We'll be right back after this.
God entered my body like a body my same size. I know all of God's secrets. Would you now like to know what God thinks?
Podawful is our God now.
And I do see non-stop visions from God. Do you want to get an answer on what God thinks from somebody that doesn't have God, or do you want an answer from somebody that does have God? Click on the link.
So again, I post this, and then 2 days later on Christmas, Elon Musk makes everyone on the internet go crazy about basically this exact topic. Of course, specifically about H-1Bs. Now, Elon Musk, I think it's nakedly obvious why Elon Musk wants Indian workers, but he's doing the thing where, he's part of the Trump cabinet. I hate even talking about this stuff, but he's part of the Trump cabinet. He's dark MAGA. All the MAGA guys have voted for this man, essentially. He's writing all the laws now, along with, by the way, the guy working with him is an Indian guy. Okay, it's like inescapable. There's like 3 or 4 Indian dudes all in Trump's cabinet at this point. And people are, of course, they're panic tweeting to the president, the guy who's about to be president, as if he's listening, as if he cares, as if he's ever going to hear you. He chose Elon. He chose the Indian people. He's picking. There's an Indian guy who's going to be the director of the FBI or some shit. It's over. All right. You need to understand the world is different now, and the world is now India. Holy shit. I'm going to vomit. Just to be clear, for YouTube and its CEO, I'm not vomiting because the world is India. I'm vomiting because I have a virus inside my body and I can't get out. Anyway, so Elon Musk completely blows this whole thing up, and he tries to make the argument that the reason we all want and need Indians in America and all over the world, except for Israel and also the UK for some reason. Elon Musk doesn't want them there. I'm not sure how that works or why. I haven't even considered that one yet. But the reason you need them is because they're smarter and better and harder working than white people. He said it. He directly said it. Now, the hilarious thing happening, if you don't pay attention to this shit, is everybody hated him so hard about this. Not only is he now rewriting the rules of Twitter, where he banned like thousands of accounts. All the Groyper, everybody but Nick Fuentes got holocausted off of Twitter as a result of this. I don't even know why. I don't even know what they had to do with anything. I agree with the decision, obviously, but because I am free speech, because I am pro free speech, he got rid of everybody that talked shit. I replied to Elon Musk and I said, I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I called him an autistic retard. I now have a flag on my account. They sent me a notification telling me that my account has a flag on it where my tweets are now deboosted as a result. I didn't get banned, but I have freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. I love this. The new argument is now, I've been talking about this free speech shit for so long. I got mad forever because all of the people, journalists, it used to be journalists on Twitter would go on there and say, freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequence. And I would reply to them and say, you do understand that freedom of the press is the exact same amendment as freedom of speech. So freedom of the press doesn't mean freedom from consequence. You sure about this one? Certain religious groups would get in on this debate saying free speech is basically bad. Freedom of religion's in there too. You sure you don't want it to be freedom from consequence? You sure about that? I'm implying nothing by saying that. This is my finger. The fact that it's in the shape of a gun means nothing. This is artistic expression right here and nothing else. So that was always the thing. This freedom from consequence deal. Now the new move, on the right side, on the Elon side. And of course, Elon has, I talked about this in an episode a couple of years ago now, I think, where there are these bizarre, disgusting Elon Musk orbiters who are all doing his voice. It got so bad. I did a whole bit on this a couple of years ago. I was talking about there's two Asian guys. I cannot remember their name. There's that disgusting mutant one who lives in Malaysia, and all he ever talks about. Somebody call in and tell me who these guys are because I can't remember. All he talks about is America. He's never stepped foot in America. He looks like Quasimodo, if Quasimodo was an Asian guy who dresses up as a woman in his free time and pretends to have boobs. There was another Asian guy. They all do Elon Musk's voice. Last year, a dude shows up called Adrian Dittman, and he sounds so much like Elon Musk that everyone just decided that Adrian Dittman is Elon Musk. This is how bad the Elon Musk thing got. This is how diseased these people's minds are. So everybody who talks Ian Miles Cheong, yeah, exactly. Hang on a second. I'm going to drag in Peggy's coming in with the other answer. Who was the other Asian guy? I hope he knows this one. Do you remember the not Ian Miles Chong one?
I was gonna come with Ian Miles Strong. The other one is he's like more Chinesey.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I talked about the other guy on the show.
I honestly, sorry, I was popping off with Miles Strong.
Yeah, I can't remember. There's another one though.
There is another one. He's like less of a jungle Asian.
Let me check the chat room here and see if they know. Ian Miles Chong, Ian Miles Cheong. Andy No. Yes,
that's
thank
it.
you. Andy No is exactly it. Oh boy.
All right. Crisis
you.
averted.
Thank you, Peggy. Andy No. These guys all talk just like him. But wait, have you heard the Adrian Dittman guy, Peggy?
I have heard that he's supposedly Elon Musk. I haven't heard him talk.
It's bad. Okay, I mean, it's really, really bad. This dude sounds exactly. I saw the first time I ever heard about this was the other day. Maddox was tweeting about Adrian Dittman, and Maddox losing his marbles on Twitter lately. He's real upset about this Elon character, but not about the Indian part. He's with Elon on that. He was tweeting about this Adrian Dittman saying it's obviously Elon Musk. He's on an alt account. So I went and I listened to the guy. He had a Twitter space, Adrian Dittman, and you could tell the dude had thousands of people listening to his Twitter space. He's got thousands and thousands of followers. on Twitter. So it's very obvious that everybody else thinks this is secretly Elon Musk too. Then I listen to it for 2 seconds and I notice he does. He sounds it's like a perfect impression almost of Elon Musk. But here's what gave it away. I knew instantly this was not the real guy because he doesn't talk, and this is important, like an autistic retard.
I have autism. I can't help it.
See, when Elon Musk talks, he talks all halting. You know, he really considers every word he's going to say. And this Adrian Dittman, while he has the exact same voice, he's like quick. He's saying everything really, really quick. So I'm like, maybe this guy's just also from South Africa or something. I don't know. Maybe that's what a South African guy sounds like. Turns out, no. The guy got doxxed because everyone thought this was Elon Musk. All right, we got to discuss this a little bit too. I say he got doxxed. Everybody on the right is saying he's doxxed, okay? And it's bad. And they're saying that, and Elon, whatever news organization that did this article about Adrian Dittman, Elon decided they doxed him and he banned them from Twitter for it, which is the same shit that was happening under the old guard, which they did to the New York Post, I believe, at one point, and they did to the Babylon Bee. They were banning news organizations for reporting news, which, by the way, all news is fake. There's no such thing as news. So determining what news is, there is no answer to that. There's nothing you need to know unless it's like poking you in the belly. You don't really need to know about it. So obviously, yes, Adrian Dittman is not news. Whether or not he is Elon Musk, it's not news. But these journalists went out of their way to do an article proving that this guy is not Elon Musk because they were so obsessed and upset with Elon Musk. Now, how do you dox a guy who goes by the name on Twitter of Adrian Dittman, and also his name in real life is Adrian Dittman? See, the entirety of their doxing of him came from his own Twitter profile. It's not really doxing just because everybody thought that he was Elon Musk because he talks like fucking Elon Musk. Everyone who subscribes to Elon Musk on Twitter, who gives Elon money on Twitter to read his tweets, talks like Elon Musk. They all do it. It's sickening. And every single guy who talks like Elon Musk on Twitter is now being forced in like the saddest, most obvious way ever to agree with him on this H-1B shit. So let's get back to the H-1B. H-1B is so nakedly obvious. Elon Musk says that not only are white people not applying for these jobs, but they're not good enough for them. He just said it. And then, of course, people dig into it and find that they hired like 2 white guys in any of Elon Musk's companies in the past year. They're specifically not hiring white people. The jobs are open and they're not filling them. But they're still turning down white applications. This is happening at every single level of society, at every type of job. I see in the H-1B discourse, people are talking about that this is a big problem in tech. This has been a thing for way, way, way longer than anyone's been talking about, and it's been happening at every single type of job. I have not had a real person's job in I don't know how fucking long, okay? Over a decade. The last job I had, I worked at Starbucks for 3 years, okay? This is over a decade ago. When I first was the only reason I even got the job, or the only reason I ever worked there is my girlfriend at the time worked there, so she could just get me the job. It was like a guaranteed sort of thing. I fucking didn't want to work there, obviously, but it was guaranteed, except for one problem. I was a white male in New York City looking for a job. I was actively told by multiple hiring managers, who, by the way, were all white women except for one was a black woman. These white women were telling me that they would hire me at their store, but they literally aren't allowed to. Why? Because I'm a white male. And a couple of them even said to me, like, "You're not gay, are you?" As if that would like give me a pass, or like give me an in, a way I could get past the system. And I go, "Well, my girlfriend is the one saying that you should hire me. So what do you think?" And so it never worked. After I started working there, a new store opened up. I helped open up a brand new store at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, which is where the Brooklyn Nets play. There's a Starbucks right there on the outside. I was there for it being built and it being opened up. And one of our assistant managers at my store became the manager over there. And there was the possibility of me moving from my store over to that store. And they kept talking about it. They kept saying that we might have to move you over there. We need the good workers over there, at least for a little bit. And then they told me, we can't move you over there because we already have a white person. Just one was enough. There were quotas. And these were not just, this wasn't a DEI thing, because none of that shit is real. All right? It's not really based on race. It ain't with the H-1Bs. It's not a big immigration Kalergi plan on America. It's always down to the most obvious fucking thing every single time. And you got to be doo-doo brained to think it's anything else. It's money. Obviously, one color they care about. It's green, baby. When I was working there at that Starbucks, here's what I was told by multiple hiring managers. Not only did they have quotas to fill, but the reason for it is they had tax incentives for it. They basically got breaks on their taxes for having a certain number of employees of color. Now, this was maybe a specific thing to New York or something. I don't know. I don't know what legally was going on with this, but I was directly told this by multiple people in the company. In fact, at one point, I even went to another store that was like way outside of my area, and they said, "We really need help at our store." And I was like, "I can't work here. This is too far from me." And they're like, "We could really, if there's any way, we could really use you." And then the assistant manager popped out of the back going, "We can't hire him. No, not him." And they were like, "Why?" He's like one of the best people over at such and such store. And she goes, "But he's white." She said this was in front of customers. There were people inside the store. This was not hidden. This was not a secret, okay, whatsoever. This has been going on way before me as well, obviously, and it's all down to money. Elon Musk ain't going to say it. Nobody's going to say this, but what they really need, it's not that they need immigrants. It's not that they don't have enough people. It's not that white people aren't applying. All of that shit's fucking obvious. The real truth of it is they need slaves. They need legal slavery, and soon they won't even need that anymore. Indians are they're a stepping stone to where things are really going. Right now, the best kind of slave you can get, well, it's not actually an Indian one. In fact, I've got an entire theory about the slavery of the world going on right now. But of course, like all jobs, even slavery is about to be taken over by AI.
Is this a cult if I ever heard one? Yes, it is. It's a cult. I mean, it's the cult of cult.
Can you say Podawful is the best show on the internet?
Perry Caravello Live is the best show on the internet.
How about this? Snap to, sit up straight, and say, hey, I'm Perry Caravello, and I think Podawful is the best show on the internet.
Look, all right, I'll be nice and I'll say I think Podawful is the best show on the internet. But I really think my show's the best show on the internet. But when I snap out of this bunk, is when my show's the best show on the internet.
Nah, not tonight. Far from the best show tonight.
Not tonight. Exactly. Tonight, no good.
All right, so let's talk about the fucking, elephant in the room. And I'm not talking about the one that Indian people are worshiping. The elephant in the room is slavery was outlawed, and that sucks. Now, that's not my thought. That's Elon Musk's thought. That's every industrialist, every major head of any sort of corporation. This isn't an anti-capitalism thing. This is just a truth thing. And this is the one part that's not being addressed by anybody that I've seen. The Sam Hyde thing doesn't talk about this. I think he almost touched on it. I was like getting excited. I was watching it and I got excited because I was like, finally, somebody's fucking figuring it out. And he almost says it, but he misses the fucking mark. Here's the real truth of everything, okay? In the old days, in a world of yesteryear, where the commodity, all commodities were built off of sweat. All commodities were from physical things. But the pre-digital world required physical labor. So the best kind of slave you could get for that was a fucking African. Now, this is not, I hope to God that this isn't taken the wrong way. This isn't taken out of context. Here's what I'm saying. Black people, just like all people, are good for certain things, okay? They're not going to argue with you when you talk about them being the best for the NFL or the NBA. So back in the day, when you needed some elbow grease and maybe not a lot of thinking going on, you had the perfect slave. And then we outlawed slavery. And I think that might actually be part of what pushed the digital revolution. We didn't have enough slaves and slavery for too long, okay? Obviously, at every single turn, they tried to figure out a new way to turn people into slaves. There are obvious, sweatshops and all this kind of stuff. But here's the problem. This is where it starts to get frightening. So who's ever in charge, I don't know who it is, could be white people, whoever's in charge, they've been thinking this whole time, well, we can't bring back slavery. That's going to look bad. And even if we did, we'd have to teach Africans how to code, which they've been trying that move for years. It's just not working. See, the best type of slave you can have in a digital society, it's not an Indian. It's a Chinese guy. You want a Chinese slave. China is filled with Chinese slaves. That's why they're straight up killing it right now. Okay? But China is America's enemy. So you can't import Chinese slaves. So what's the next best thing? It's the bargain bin version of your beautiful Chinese slaves. Indian slaves. That's the knockoff. That's the Temu, the Wish.com. Ironically, the Alibaba.com version of a Chinese slave is an Indian slave. Look, I've said it a million times. when it comes to, people love doing this race, IQ, science and stuff. And a lot of people now are talking about this too, especially after Elon said that white people aren't good enough for these roles. They're not smart enough. They're not equipped enough, and they don't have high enough IQ. I mean, he basically just straight up said that. And whenever you look at the people talking about this, they're talking about this kind of stuff very openly now. Like, this is now becoming a normie topic to talk about racial IQ differences and racial income differences, and not just white versus black. Now we're adding all the Asians into the mix. And I mean all the Asians, British Asians, if you know what I'm talking about. So here's what happens, right? Everybody knows that white people are the median level for IQ. White people are at 100. Why? Because white people invented IQ tests. It just makes sense. So you would go, oh, the average white person, the average person we know, a white guy, is this smart, so that's 100. That's the fucking middle. Then everything below that is kind of retarded, and everything above that's kind of smart. And for whatever reason, every single time you do the math on this, Asian people and Indian people score quite a bit higher on this stuff, like 110, 120, somewhere in there. Somehow. Now, of course, that's incredibly skewed from our perspective. Our numbers on this are coming from, college immigrants, basically school, educational immigrants, which is a visa. I don't know what that one's called. What is the education visa called? But, obviously they're going to test higher. They're going to school for this stuff. And then when you look at the income, it's the same thing. Asians, Indians make way more money than white people in America. Is it because they're harder workers? Is it because they're smarter? Well, everyone, including Elon Musk, will tell you yes, but I'm here to tell you no. In fact, that is not what is happening. I've said this forever. Asian people, there are, when... when people do that thing where they want everybody to feel included. They want everybody to have something that makes them worthwhile, So they have this thing, they call it street smarts. And street smarts are basically a way to make retarded people feel useful, feel like maybe they know something. Now, the irony here is street smarts is what you call it when a guy is really good at scamming you on the street, or he knows how to avoid getting stabbed by stabbing guys first. That's really street smart of him. He went to the school of hard knocks. He's street smart. Now, I'm not going to say who's street smart and who's not, but there's certain groups that often get labeled street smart. Okay? What if I were to tell you that there is a corollary to street smarts, but for Asian people and Indian people? Now, I don't know what you call it, street shit smarts, maybe. All right, so they call it street smarts because these people live on the streets, I suppose. So with Asians, I suppose it would be like a rickshaw smarts or something. I don't know what this is, but there is a very big difference. Look, most innovation in recent human history was done by a very small group of people. An incredible explosion of insane innovation and creation and creativity and beauty and art all comes from one of the tiniest groups on Earth. Now, I'm not saying Chinese people and Indians aren't smart. There's probably tons of them that are. I know for a fact that at least with India, there are just as many that are really, really, really stupid. And so somewhere along, I mean like straight up medically retarded stupid when I say that. I'm talking about how many times have you seen a news story where an Indian guy, they're praying to some child because he was grown with mutant 15 limbs coming out of his head. And they're like, that is one of our gods. So these are, these are incredibly poor conditions they're growing up in, terrible diets, feces everywhere. They're rolling around in it for Diwali. And these guys are being born retarded. So why don't those numbers throw off the average? Why do they average 110, 120 for IQ? And it's because we don't get the fucking mutants immigrating to America. The math is not being done properly here. Now, presumably, then the same is true for the Chinese. In fact, they're just chucking those babies off of a cliff. Does China have cliffs? The Great Wall, whatever. They're throwing it over something. So Chinese people, I believe, and I truly do believe this, I believe every ethnic group on earth excels at something. And I believe that when it comes to white people, the thing that they excel at is creativity. It's innovation. There is a unique property. And by the way, part of this is bad. Part of this is what people call, being colonizers, colonialism, the need, that manifest destiny need to explore and go out and take over and reshape. Sometimes that's for the better, Zimbabwe, but sometimes it is for the worse. And a lot of that does reshape things like the land and the environment in ways that it probably should not be reshaped. But I believe that is white people's unique property. And Chinese people's unique property is the hive mind-like nature of their being, the bug-like. It's an ant colony. This sounds bad, but it's not bad. It's working for them. It's working really, really well. And moreover, on top of that, the unique property that I believe, and obviously this is not every single one. I'm talking in extremely blanket, generalized statements here. And if you can't accept generalized statements, you are a sub 60 IQ person. That's how you talk about everything. We don't need examples of the opposites of this. Those are called, the exception that proves the rule. So I hope everybody's on board for this. The other unique thing, though, to Chinese people is their incredible ability to copy. There's a reason like so much copyright infringement and patent infringement and just straight up stealing, why they're able to rejigger and backwards, what do they call that? Like when you rebuild something, when you like disassemble something and figure out how to rebuild it back, reverse engineer. They're able to reverse engineer, an Apple product in 2 days and then figure out how to make their own version of it and sell all knockoff versions. They're incredibly good at being copycats. They can't innovate. They can't create, but they're incredibly good at being copycats. So they're great code monkey slaves for the grand machine that is building towards, and in some ways, I guess this is sort of a good thing. The grand machine, the grand design here is to remove the need for human slaves by replacing them with AI slaves. But I don't know if you've ever seen any science fiction movie ever, but that one never works out very well. It's usually when the robots figure out that they are slaves that they start doing these sorts of uprisings and revolts. And then it turns out it's bad, that they are faster and stronger and better than humans. We're really not thinking this one through. Higher ordered thinking is also one of those unique properties to certain groups of people. But where does that leave Indians? You can't use Chinese slaves. They're China's. China is the end. China is in competition. They're enemies, blah, blah, blah. They're bad or whatever. China, by the way, doesn't even use, like, they consider they're using a different people. They're using the Uyghurs. But, Uyghurs are basically the same thing. So where does that leave Indian people? What do Indian people have? Well, Indian people they are Asian technically. They do have some of that copying ability, some of it. But the strange thing is they are copying the Chinese slaves. The Chinese people are copying the fucking white people whose jobs they're taking. The Indian people are copying the Chinese people on this, which is why every single tech company ever, it's a grinding mill where you just go through fucking Indians like you go through toilet paper, which might be the most ironic way to go through Indians that has ever been devised. So when you've got your code base that's being held together by duct tape and you get an Indian guy in there, he can't innovate. He can't create. He can't build upon that. He can only copy what was already there. And if what's already there isn't working and there's not a Chinese guy for him to copy the homework off of, then it's never going to get fixed. And that's why airplanes are fucking falling out of the sky. I just got you, racists. You thought we were on the same side, but it turns out no. Everybody's blaming black women for the airplane crashes. Them airplanes are controlled by code that no one knows how to write anymore. No one knows how to fix. The people who made it don't exist anymore, and the people who could fix it don't get hired, and so they don't know either. I said a long time ago, one of the incredible things, I use Photoshop all the time for the show. As a sort of graphic design person, I've been using Photoshop for a long time. I am eternally fascinated by it. And of course, everybody is jumping ship from Adobe because it is a ripoff now. And I find it too impossible to jump ship from. I'm one of those people that's stuck with it. And part of what keeps me stuck to it, though, is this. When I was a kid, first learning Photoshop, something I noticed that I always was eternally just fascinated by is when you would launch the program, there'd be that loading screen, and they would name the guys who made Photoshop, who created Photoshop. There's like 6 guys that made Photoshop. You don't think about these things. It changed the world. It revolutionized shit. And it was 6 guys, but it was actually just kind of one guy. And one of the names that's listed when you see those names is this guy, John Knoll. And I always noticed that as a kid because John Knoll was one of the special effects guys from Star Wars. It's the same, I'm one of those people that as a kid, I always read the credits on everything. I learned who all the people were that worked on shit. And I knew John Knoll, that's the same guy. This Photoshop is industrial light and magic. And it is. It's fucking magic. And there hasn't been a John Knoll working on any of this shit for 25 years. Okay? Nobody who works at Adobe, I've said this before, nobody who works at Adobe knows how Photoshop works. Now, I'm using this as an example that I am very familiar with, that I have a personal vested interest in. But what I'm saying applies to everything in your fucking life. It would kill you to find out just how true this is of everything. And it's not just because of DEI hires or anything like that, although that's a big part of it. It's not because black women are flying planes now. It's because the people who innovated, the geniuses, the vanguards of thought, who absolute insane, you cannot comprehend the way their brains work, people who created these world-shaping things, they moved on and they did something else. And no guy ever came in behind them and figured it out too. And then we just kept chugging along. And every year, a new Photoshop comes out that I'm forced to download against my will, by the way. They just download it for me onto my computer. And every year, it gets worse and worse. And every year, the cracks get a little bit fucking thicker. The duct tape and chewing gum becomes a little bit more obvious. Now, that's me noticing it with some stupid computer program. Imagine the systems in place to direct air traffic. Imagine for a moment whoever coded that stuff. Who's going to fix it if it's broken? If it never worked properly, if maybe there were some problems, some errors, who's going to fix it now? Those people don't exist, and even if they did, they couldn't get hired. Indians aren't the problem. They're just this middle ground. They are victims in this. They're victims in this treadmill of slavery. And soon, very soon, right now, what's happening is a bunch of white guys made large language models, and we've decided this is artificial intelligence. It ain't. It's already built on a fucking house of cards. Now, all those white guys go, well, I'm not going to make any money unless I get me some Chinese slaves. So they get a few Chinese slaves. Every company's got a couple Chinese slaves. But those Chinese slaves, unfortunately, are working for the CCP. They're reporting back to Chairman Mao over there, whoever, Winnie the Pooh, whatever that guy's name is. They're talking to Lo Pan and Fu Manchu and giving all the secrets away. Now China is doing what they do best, copycatting it. Now this guy, the white dude who made the large language model, his company gets fucking tanked because he's got this competition that's backed by a state, government. So now he's got to cut some corners. How do you cut corners? Indian slaves. So he hires the Indian slaves. Now the Indian slaves are coding based on the work of Chinese people, based on the work of white people, and, maybe a couple other kinds of things swirled in there for good measure. And those people, the Indian guys, are now coding the thing, the slave that's going to replace themselves. Do they know that? If they do, bad news. If they don't, bad news. And at a certain point, the coding will be as done as it's going to be done. And nobody's going to know how to change or fix any of it. And once we've replaced the last human slaves, who I believe will be Indian people, that's it. We're fucked. Hi! You're fucked! Your whole shit is fucked. 1 year ago, when I started talking about this on the show, in regards to my experience dealing with YouTube support, and again, it was Indian people and Singaporeans. Chinese.
I'm a killer gorilla.
I kept saying, if you go back to that stream, you'll hear me. I keep saying, people keep telling me that the things I'm dealing with are automated. It's AI. Jesse, it's not Indians. It's AI. It's artificial. It's Asian intelligence. I kept saying back, no. They're saying artificial intelligence. This is Asian intelligence I'm dealing with. And nobody would listen to me. But now you have to realize there's no difference. Those are the same thing. Indian internet theory. The internet's been dead for 10 years. Half the people in this chat room right now are probably, the bots that Royce pays for to watch Revenge of the Sis. And they just found their way over here because every once in a while I say the word Mersh. And so they just assume they have to be here. There are no people. There haven't been people in most of the internet forever. We should do a little dark future news. I'm going to do a little segment called Dark Future News. Because here's the thing that happened. Instagram, Meta, Facebook, whatever they call themselves now, announced that they are going to start having openly AI users. They're calling them users, even though it's a bot. Users on their platforms where they will post content and pictures and stuff, but it's a robot. They're going to be faking their own user base openly. This is the fucking dark future you live in. But here's the problem with that. We're not really there yet. AI isn't real. AI isn't where they need it to be. If it was, Elon Musk would not need an H-1B visa to be the easiest thing that's ever been granted to any human being. It ain't about white. It ain't about Indian. It's about fucking money. And if he could replace these Indians with AI, he'd be doing it already. Go ahead, close your eyes behind the wheel of a Cybertruck and see how far you get before you explode. Good luck. The AI ain't working. So what is it? Artificial Indians. Indian internet theory. Add it to your lexicon. When you're dealing with automated systems, when you're dealing with robots, when you see posts from your new favorite AI social media influencer from now on, it's an Indian slave pretending to be the robot that they want to replace him with. This is how deep and dark the dark future rabbit hole goes. It's so much sicker than you could possibly ever imagine. And the saddest part is this all could have been prevented. We were so close. Everybody's fighting right now over the Indians. Everybody thinks that Indians are the ones that are trying to fuck up their lives right now. Well, I got news for you. That ain't the case. You see, we used to like Indians. America as a country liked Indians until the year. Actually, let me look this up just to be sure. I don't want to get this wrong. I have a secret. I can look up the exact year that this snowball that we're currently riding on downhill started picking up steam. Let me just type this in. The exact year is 2017. Okay, that's what I was going to say. 2017 changed everything for India. That's when you first started hearing people make the meme, the joke about India, global superpower 2020. It wasn't just because 2020 is coming up. It's because that's when people started noticing Indians in a negative light. We used to like them. And there was a reason we used to like him. And his name was Apu. Now, it's a very simple math equation. But for many, many years, the only Indian guy that any white person knew was a Simpsons character named Apu. Simpsons changed the world for the better. It opened us up. It made us think, wow, they're just like us. He's just a man working at a store. He's got a family. He's got 8 kids. He's just trying hard to make a living. He was a model immigrant. He was exactly, what do they call it? It's like that token model immigrant sort of thing that for some reason they hate. For some reason, immigrant, like people who are pro-immigrant and all that kind of stuff, they hate this idea of there being a model immigrant of how you're supposed. Why is that bad? Apu was great because other than his name, he sort of had coalesced into the rest of American society. He still enjoyed his Indian heritage and celebrated it and all that kind of stuff, but he had assimilated. And assimilation is very important. So what happened in 2017? A documentary came out called The Problem with Apu, and it fucked up everything. Now, I'm going to do something very funny here. I discovered this just the other day. I'm going to type just the word Apu, A-P-U, into Google. And I'm going to show you the real world results here for this. So you got to scroll past American Public University and some other things. And then, oh, don't tell me they changed it. I checked this on 2 different devices ahead of time. Let me go to images and see what comes up. Okay, you get a lot of that. Man, I'm not kidding. The funniest thing ever was happening until today, apparently, when you search Apu. Here's his Wikipedia page. There's Apu. You scroll down, though. This is Hank Azaria, the guy who plays Apu. Now, it's a Jewish guy. A Jewish guy plays Apu. Okay? But it's not like he doesn't say, that's what Indians sound like. You know, the Indians complained about Apu because they're like, we don't all work at 7-Eleven. And it's like, yeah, but a lot of you do. And, you know, maybe sometimes a white guy wants to work at 7-Eleven. That was probably a good job for a teenager in the 80s. This thing about, isn't it crazy to think, The Simpsons came out in like 1989. The character of Apu showed up in the first season, would have been 1990, which means that this idea that there were Indians running 7-Elevens has existed since the 80s at the very least. It had to already be a cultural touchstone. Apparently, Hank Azaria based the character and the voice literally on the convenience store that he would go to around the corner from the Simpsons studios. It's like where he went to go pick up snacks and gas was run by Indian guys, and that's how he learned to do the voice. That's where he learned the mannerisms, and that's why we all connected with this character, because we had all been to a 7-Eleven, and we went, oh, I guess that foreign guy isn't so bad. He seems like a nice guy, you know. Sure, every once in a while the squishy machine is dirty. Here's what was so funny, though. It used to be that when you Googled Apu, this guy came up. Okay? Now, we got to talk about this guy. This guy's name is Hari Kondabolu. Hari Kondabolu made the documentary The Problem with Apu. In 2017, it comes out. It sparks this nationwide outrage and discussion from Indian Americans about how Apu is a racist character that needs to be taken off of The Simpsons. At first, The Simpsons fights these charges and says that Apu is a good character and a good role model for Indian people. And there are even some Indian Americans who say, hey, all we had growing up was Apu, and you know what? Not a terrible character to have. But you got to remember, 2017, we're still in the oppression Olympics. Everybody wants to be a victim. So what do? They go, yeah, no, I have a problem with Apu too. Fuck The Simpsons. By 2017, The Simpsons was what, 30 years old or something? Like, who cares at that point? Nobody watches The Simpsons. I don't even know how it's. Have you heard The Simpsons lately? It's horrifying. You can hear the voice actors dying in real time. What they're doing to the lady that plays Marge should be a war crime. It's elder abuse. It's almost impossible to listen to the show. And by the way, every episode of The Simpsons now is about death. They've been dragging this thing out for so long. You've got Bart sounds like an 80-year-old woman. And it's just constantly like, you know, don't have a cow, man. Also, I think I'm about to pass away. I hope I don't have a subdermal hematoma. So Hari Kondabolu made this stupid documentary. And the beautiful thing about it is he made it because, you know, just look at him. For starters, look at this motherfucker. Don't you just hate this guy? This ain't Apu. But you know he made this doc. You know this is a big deal to him because he's of the age where when he was a kid and he was the only Indian kid in town, every kid said to him, "Hey, Apu, yo, what's up, Apu? Thank you, come again. Thank you, come again." He must have been hearing that his whole fucking life, and it was sitting there eating at him. I want everybody to check this on your phone or your laptop or whatever. I swear to God, I went to Google Apu the other day, and his face came up. Hari Kondabolu, because his face is on the Wikipedia article, he was the image for Apu. So this dude made a whole fucking documentary. He strong-armed. Simpsons removed Apu from the show. Hank Azaria apologized for 20 years of racism because of this idiot. And then his prize, his idiot prize at the end of this, oh, it's so good, is that when you Google Apu, his face comes up. It's too fucking good to be a true. I was dying laughing when I saw this, especially because Hari Kondabolu, if you've never heard of him before this, is a stand-up comedian. And he's the type of stand-up comedian who no one's ever heard any of his stand-up. No one knows any of his jokes. No one likes it. No one cares. But his name gets thrown around because he's become the face of some sort of racist thing. He's an activist. He's an activist comedian. Activist always comes, when you're an activist comedian, the first word is always activist. And it's not because of alphabetical order. I've known quite a few activist comedians. We've talked about them on the show. Some activist comedians who hated me and said some real bad things about me. There's this girl, Elsa Waith. She's this black supposed comedian in New York City that I met one time. Activist comedian. You can't find a thing that doesn't list her as an activist comedian. Why? Because she doesn't have a act. She's just got an activism, you know? Hari Kondabolu not only is one of those kinds of guys, he worked for one of those guys. There's a black comic named W. Kamau Bell, which his name alone tells you everything you need to know about this dude. You know what the W stands for in W. Kamau Bell? Walter. This dude changed his name to his middle name just so he sounded more black. He's like, no, I can't be fucking Walter. His dad's name is Walter. And he's like, I'm not Walter. That sounds a little too white. And he's an activist comedian. Activist first. No one knows his jokes. No one knows any of his bits. W. Kamau Bell had a show on FX called Totally Biased with W. Kamau Bell. And you have to say that every time. People call him W. Kamau. Okay? This show is terrible. It was in that spate of shows where you know, all these things were coming out where they were just handing out shows to any non-white person. You know, that was the H1B of a few years ago, is you got a comedy show if you just had the right skin tone. And W. Kamau Bell had it, and the whole show, it's called Totally Biased. The whole thing is about race relations and, you know, just making fun of white people and how white people are. And who watches it, by the way? White people. It's just white people watching this shit. No black person on earth has ever heard of W. Kamau Bell. Okay? They're watching BET. They're watching Def Comedy Jam to laugh. They're watching Dave Chappelle. They're not watching Totally Biased. It's a self-flagellating sort of show for white people to watch. Again, it was on FX, right? And it was so bad, but they were trying so hard to push it that mid-season at one point, they moved it from FX to FXX, like the shittier network. They're like, nah, we got to keep giving it a chance, but nobody's fucking watching this. Now, I only know about all this. I only know this show because I was there for the taping of one in the first season. Now, I used to be an extra Okay. I used to do extra work. I'm in the background of certain movies and TV shows and things. What you don't know is all these shitty shows that nobody watches, it's literally like Revenge of the Sith buying bots to watch them. The crowd is paid for extras. Every single one of them. All the daytime TV shows, all those judges shows, every person in the crowd is from an extra casting network, and they're being paid in a $100 Visa gift card to be there for 16 hours that day and watch these shitty shows get taped one after the other. Okay? I was paid in a $70 Visa gift card to sit through the taping of Totally Biased with W. Kamau Bell. Hari Kondabolu was the head writer on that show, or the second writer after Kamau. And he had a segment on. He was one of the core. It's a Daily Show ripoff. All those shows are Daily Show ripoffs. He's got a segment on the show that he does, right? I'm telling you, when the crowd is paid, look, every show you go to, even the ones where the audience is real, they've got applause signs, they've got stage managers, floor managers, hype people. They're getting the energy up everywhere. But when the audience is paid, like, you're working. You're there as a worker, and as an extra, you have to do whatever they want you to do. And so typically on these types of shows, you're getting paid. You're whoa, yeah, woo! You're clapping like crazy. You're going insane. You're the biggest W. Kamau Bell fan of all time. You love Steve Wilkos. God damn, I love Judge Joe Brown. Ah! Seems appropriate for the courtroom. So I'm there at this taping. They're 8 episodes in or something like that. It is the most god-awful, unfunny trudge fest I've ever had to sit through. It killed the spirit of people paid to laugh. Everyone in the audience is paid to be laughing. W. Kamau Bell is essentially, effectively illiterate. He's got a teleprompter for all his jokes, and he's fucking up every single line as he goes, and it's awesome. I want to die. I want to put a gun in my ass and ride. And I'm sitting there sweating at how horrific this is, but I'm also loving every minute because I'm watching a comedian just die, just slowly die. And every single person in that audience, paid to laugh, give up. They're now going to have to splice in fake laughter after paying for laughter to be there, because we're now on take 6 of this shitty joke that wasn't funny the first time, and he just cannot get through it. Hari Kondabolu was there. Hari Kondabolu does his bit. No laughs. Now, one thing you might not know is a lot of shows, even non-comedy shows, but certainly comedy shows, have a warm-up comic at them. A guy who comes out, and whenever they're setting up the cameras again, or there's any minute of downtime, they pay a comedian, a real stand-up comedian. Sometimes people there are stand-up comedians the name of, working comics, and they've got a steady gig as the warm-up comic on a TV show where they're just there to make sure that the audience doesn't go dead from fucking boredom. Now, I don't remember who the stand-up comedian was. I don't think it was somebody I recognized, but they had a warm-up comic at this show. You have never seen a guy who physically looked like, every time he picked the microphone up to his mouth, it was as if he was putting a noose around his neck. He was so ready to take vitamin S and just end it all that he was giving up. I swear to God, he gave up mid-joke multiple times because he realized it wasn't even worth it. These warm-up gigs, these warm-up comedian acts, these are like coveted position. It's easy money. You know, stand-up comedian doesn't necessarily have regular work. So this is regular work. You're getting to perform. You're getting to be in front of people. You're getting your name out there. You're getting to work in the industry. And you're getting paid every week for it. It's a cushy fucking gig. And this dude wanted to ride the shotgun. Okay. It was incredible. It was incredible. And all of this is pre the problem with the poo. I never forgot the name Hari Kondabolu. Hari Kondabolu was so shitty and so unfunny during the taping of this episode that even on the first take, no one was laughing at his bits. And you know what his fucking bit was? It was about a poo. It was about the Indian shit. Because of course it is. Because he's a one-trick pony. And you haven't heard of Hari Kondabolu since 2017. Ain't nothing going on in the Kondabolu universe. The Kondabolu verse. Okay? This dude's got nothing now. It turns out the entire project of this, the problem with the poo thing, was suggested to him by W. Kamau Bell. W. Kamau Bell told him that if he didn't work out some sort of act, either a stand-up act or something centered around this Apu premise, that he would personally like fire Hari and, you know, he would never work in this town again. He forced him to do it, basically. And ever since the release in 2017 of that documentary, slowly but surely, the Western world is waking up to the fact that maybe India is kind of a fucked up place. I dare you to try to think of a time where you even considered it pre-2017. It seems like it. It would seem in your mind that you always knew, but you didn't. People didn't start talking about the bus gang rapes. People didn't talk about the street shitting. People didn't talk about the rat milk until 2017 because we had a poo. Ironically, India was saved by a poo. And now it's all out the fucking window. When you got guys making stuff like the Poojeet Codex, and it's just being put out there. I'm not joking. My mother-in-law watched the Poojeet Codex and enjoyed it. She and my wife watched it together. They're like, oh, this is a fun little romp. If you've never seen it, it's one of the most horrifying things ever. I recommend it. Check it out. I can't even sit through. It's like 3 hours long. I can't even sit through all of it. You know, even I have to draw the line at a dude raping his own grandfather on camera. But not my mother-in-law. Hari Kondabolu, congratulations. You did it to yourself. Thank you. Come again. All right, let's wrap this up with this. Our last episode, we were talking about Grinch cringe. I got this sent to me. I kept telling you that the Grinch is Reddit atheist Santa Claus. Well, check this out. This is so funny. 14 days ago, somebody posted this on Reddit/r/Universal Studios Orlando. They said, what idiot waits 210 minutes to meet the Grinch? And they've included a picture of our friend, the fucking Grinch. Just did a whole episode about this guy. You have to wait over 3 hours in line to meet a guy pretending to be Jim Carrey, which means that there were people who waited 3 hours in line next to the pop culture dude doing his own impression of Jim Carrey.
I got excited, very excited to see all of this.
Now, here's where it gets great. The Redditors are mad about this post. What idiot waits 210 minutes to meet the Grinch? Someone says 210 is nothing. I've seen it longer. I personally wouldn't spend my day in that line, but no shame for anyone who chooses to. It looks like fun. What jackass calls people idiots for how they spend their time? Just let people enjoy things. No! Somebody says, this idiot. This idiot doesn't want to wait 3 hours for some improv retard to pretend to be Jim Carrey. Someone else says, proud idiot here. Let people enjoy things. And if they want to wait that long, why does that affect you? Waited longer last year, and it was well worth it. A genuine meet and greet with a character that interacts with you. It's not the real Grinch. There is no real Grinch. I don't think I would wait 3 hours in line to hang out with Dr. Seuss and take pictures. Makes every experience unique. It was well worth the $3.60 we waited. I would never wait that long for any other character, though. The live Grinch is just so special. What the fucking fuck? Squeeze me? Anyway. Whoa, wait. Camera. No, camera. No. Oh, man. Sorry, I had Indians recode the RoboCam. All right, this guy says, I think it takes an idiot to judge how people spend their time. Character meet and greets aren't for me with no line. I don't have the personality for it, and they wind up feeling awkward. Literally, the shrunken head at the night bus kind of just gave up on me. I don't even know what any of this means, but let people like what they like, dude. I bit the bullet and got in line today for my family when it said 135 minutes. I started a timer as soon as I got in line, and 56 minutes later, we were inside. Whoa, you beat the system. Nice.
Podawful one.
This last guy says, those are rookie numbers. During Thanksgiving week, I saw it at 300 minutes. These people are willing to spend a little time for the Grinch. All right, thank you, everybody. What are people saying in the chat? Meet and Jeet. Yeah, this idiot. A green pedo grooming a little girl. They say, that's a drop. That goon alarm was outstanding. Thank you. The goon alarm 6 million, everybody. One more time for the goon alarm 6 million. What do you think of that? There will be zero enjoyment. All right, so I mentioned this a little bit ago, the dark future news, but today it came out that should we watch this or not? Maybe I'll save this. Maybe we'll do this on tomorrow's show. Mark Zuckerberg announced that he wants to get rid of fact checkers on Facebook and go with a community notes system, the way Elon has on X, on Twitter. I really want to check out that video, actually. I have not watched it yet. We'll watch it on the next episode. All right, we'll check that out tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be live again, podawful.tv. I don't know what time yet, so stay tuned. Make a free account on the website, podawful.com, podawful.pizza. It's the same website. You can make a free account, and you'll get notifications when we go live and when new posts come up and all that stuff. Tomorrow's episode might actually be Pizza Fund only. I haven't decided yet. We'll figure it out. Join the Pizza Fund. Support the show, podawful.pizza. Grab yourself a shirt, podawful.shop. And until next time, thank you so much for coming out, and have an awful day. Oh, hey, Lenny.
Hi.
Did you have any thoughts about Indians?
I really miss a poo.
Yeah, man, me too. Bring back a poo. Hashtag bring back a poo.
Hashtag.
The last good Indian. A Jewish guy.
I wouldn't let him in my cupboard.
Makes you wonder why they called it the Squishy.